AIT, firstly, it stands for Arts Initiative Tokyo. We founded it 3 years ago as a independent initiative. 6 curators and arts managers who are all in their 30s, so quite a young kind of group of us who are all friends beforehand. We just had this idea to, for maybe a few years before, thinking of different ways in which we could address the various problems we thought that there were in Japan in the art scene. We were all working in the art scene in some way for maybe 5 to 10 years each. So we all kind of felt there was specific kind of issues which really needed to be addressed, or problems which we felt could be challenged. So 3 years ago we started making an education program, a course, like an independent school. It's called MAD. It's quite an appropriate name. It stands for Making Art Different. But so 3 years ago we started with this education core element, and started very small. It was very experimental. We didn't know what the response would be, and actually it was much bigger than we expected. A lot of people applied to take this course, and in the first year maybe we had something like 30 to 40 people applying for the course. And we offer like a 1-year course which is exploring this idea of curating contemporary art in culture. Basically the main focus is not arts management, but it's much more kind of something based maybe like the course at, I don't know, Royal College of Art in London or something. It's more like creative curating. And then we also offer like more introductory courses about contemporary art for an audience. We call it an audience course. We have a course now which looks at reading critical text. It's called Critical Readers. We have another course called an artist course. It's for artists who want to just learn more about presenting themselves, making a portfolio. So all these things actually are things which we felt very strongly is lacking in the official art education in Japanese universities. I mean, I teach, I'm often guest lecturing in these universities, and I mean, I must say the structure is still very, very kind of 19th century kind of, École des Beaux-Arts kind of system. To get into many art schools, you must still, do plaster drawings and lots of exams, technical examinations. When you go inside, the teacher's average age is maybe 60 and above, so there's very little knowledge about contemporary art, or critical theory, or how to talk about sort of contemporary issues. So we really felt there was many things which we could actually offer as a sort of a kind of course, and that's what we're trying to do. So that's been going for 3 years. And then AIT itself kind of basically came up together with this kind of education course, and because some of us are curators, some of us are more arts management people, some people are very interested in more writing and publishing. So there's 6 of us operating as a collective, and then AIT, basically we took the decision to be a non-profit organization from quite early on, actually. And we had quite a big debate and discussion amongst ourselves. Why should we become NPO, or maybe we should just become like a small company? It's better, because in Japan, I mean, there's no real benefit at the moment in legally if you become a non-profit organization. There's no tax breaks, or we thought, is it really is this what we should be doing? But we thought very deeply about this, and we in the end we really felt it's important to try and commit ourselves to like a more public type of framework, something not just like a business, which we were all very interested in. And also, I think in many ways, even though there's no financial benefits or tax benefits, actually in terms of like a social status in Japan, there is a benefit to being a non-profit organization. So for these reasons we became an NPO officially 1 year ago, actually, from the city of Tokyo. So we have to go through the process. And AIT, so it has this educational program as one of its main core programs, and this is also bringing in most of our income, actually. From the beginning we also wanted to try and make a kind of financial sustainable system within ourselves. We didn't want to just keep applying for funding every year. I think this is kind of very dangerous, and in Japan anyway, it's almost impossible, to kind of keep getting this funding from the government or public sector. So I think in order to survive and keep going, you have to have some other source of income. Otherwise, it's almost you just collapse. So this education courses is one of them. This year we just started our artist in residence program in Tokyo. Again, Tokyo did not have an artist in residence program officially until maybe last year or something. So in the last 2 years, in fact, maybe there's 3 independent initiatives of artist in residence just emerging in Tokyo, which is, it's a really big change, I think. And AIT is one of them. We luckily we have a patron who's renting us an apartment in the downtown part near Asakusa in Tokyo very cheaply. So we have this nice apartment, and we're now making partnerships with foreign arts organizations. The direction we are taking is to make partnerships with foreign organizations who will pay for artists to come in, and then from this we get maybe a percentage for being a host to the artist. So again, we try and make some income from this. And then residency and education, we also make a bilingual net magazine, an internet magazine, which is something, another one of our kind of areas which we identified. It's very weak in Japan to have English language or bilingual art information, contemporary art information, which is being transmitted from Japan. I think there's a real great interest in Japanese art and contemporary culture from when I go to London or wherever, but in fact, until maybe 3 weeks ago there was no bilingual art magazine, for instance, and there are a few good websites, but generally it's being very weak. So this was another thing we wanted to do, and try and generate some sort of critical writings in English, Japanese. We also make a whole series of symposiums, artist talks, curators talks, and this we do in this room sometimes. Sometimes we collaborate with other places which have big spaces, 100 people, and then we make symposiums. I think we try and operate in a very kind of networked way. The space we're sitting in now is where we actually have most of our courses, where we have our school and our classes. And as you can see, it's basically a library space full of books. It's like an archive. And this is also something which I think is quite special for AIT, is we are not basically an exhibition space, And I think from the beginning we were very interested to try and find a different kind of way of operating. So it's not just displaying things to be seen for exhibition, but maybe something more discursive or something more around, exchange and dialogue. So that's one of our characteristics, I think.
Yeah, I've just published this magazine. This is the first issue. And this is an art coterie, and it's basically on the Japanese art scene. And this is probably the first Japanese bilingual magazine. This is bilingual with English, Japanese and English. And why I launched this magazine bilingual? Because 3 years ago I launched a cultural web magazine called Real Tokyo, www.realtokyo.co.jp, which is also bilingual. And I thought it was absolutely necessary to publish any cultural information for the person in abroad, because otherwise the Japanese art scene or culture scene is totally isolated from what's going on in the outer world. We have to communicate, we have to talk with people abroad, we have to know each other.